one today. I'm going to show you something called Cowplots, believe it or not. Interesting name. The reason that we're doing this one is I've told you throughout the semester that a single bar chart is kind of weak as a visualization, that a line chart with a single line is not really a chart. It's just a line. There's not enough context and not enough additional stuff there. But with Cowplots, we can kind of blur that distinction a little bit. So what it is a way to merge two or more plots together into a single plot. For us in this class, it's a way to take multiple bar charts and merge them together and make them into a single chart that will count as one for your project purposes. So if you had one or two or three, well, two or three really simple bar charts and you wanted to make them a single chart that would tell a story, that's one chart for your project. So it's super simple to do, and I will show you how to do it over in the screencast. Okay, Cowplots are actually really simple. All they really involve is you saving your charts to an object, into something that we've done with data frames with the arrow. So you'll probably have to install it. The instructions how to install it are the same as anywhere. It's pretty easy. Then we'll load it up. Okay, there we go. No idea what that was about. I'm just going to load up a really simple data set of the attendance data that we looked at earlier for college football with each year that's in there. I'm going to whip up a quick percent change like we've done in the past. And then I'm going to create two data frames, one that's got the top 10 in attendance and one that's got the bottom 10 in attendance, weighted by that percent change. So I'm going to have some positive numbers and I'm going to have some negative numbers. Run that quick. So the way that this gets done, we've done this before with ggplot, and we create a bar chart, G on bar. Here's our top 10. I'm going to reorder them by that change so the bars are in order. I'm going to weight it by that change, and I'm going to flip the coordinates. And you've seen this before, something that looks like this. The only thing that I'm doing different here is I'm just going to save it to an object. I'll call it bar 1 for my first bar chart. And then I'm going to do it again for the bottom 10, same exact code. I'm just switching up the data and I'm saving it to bar 2. So over here in my environment, I now have bar 1 and bar 2. It shows me a list. It's not really, it's really just the charts that I just created. And then in Cowplot, I'm using something called a plot grid. And my plot grid just takes in, at least initially here, my two bars, bar 1, bar 2. If I run that, it stacks them together. Obviously, from the get-go, we've got some problems. We've got count as our X label. We've got this god-awful thing as our Y. We've got the default gray on there. That's pretty awful. It's got some problems. But right away you can see the value here of what's going on here. And now, let's say for a second I didn't want these to appear left and right of each other. I want them to appear stacked on top. I can actually just change this n call, or number of columns, to 1. Run that, stacks them on top of each other. Makes them a little wider. So depending on on what you're looking for, depending on what your tastes are, maybe you like this one better, maybe you like the other one better. It really just depends. But I can go to the matrices here and figure out whatever it is I want to do with this. So maybe I want bar 1 to look a little bit more like what we're accustomed to, where I add a headline and some chatter. I change my labels up. I get rid of that god-awful stuff on the left here, and I've got a pretty decent looking bar chart here. So let's just go ahead and make that bar 1 instead. Now bar 2 has the same stuff, labels, and I'm getting rid of subtitles on the second one because I don't really need it, and you'll see why here in a second. Notice I don't have a caption on the first one, but I do on the second. That's going to come into play here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and run bar 2. And then I'm going to take this off so you can see what it looks like. By choosing which things I have on there, it helps me lay this out a little bit better. So I've got a headline on 1 and 2, but notice I left the caption on the second one, the subtitle on the second one blank, but it does exist. What that does is that pushes this up. It leaves a space for it, but it doesn't actually put it in there. I wrote a pretty long subtitle for my first one, which is why it extends all the way across there and fits in there just like it would. This actually makes it look like I did this title thing on purpose, which I kind of did. And notice my caption only appears here under this one, not under that one. I give it a Y label over here, but not over here. Why? Well, you can pretty much figure that out. Neither gets a team name, so neither gets a Y-axis label, or actually it'd be an X-axis label because we flip the coordinates. So that's something you're just going to have to play around with when you go to create these, is playing around with which labels get added and which don't, how to pop that space to give your subtitle the room to go all the way across. You could just write a really long headline and go across there and just not include those things for the first one, but you're going to have to leave space for them, otherwise this chart's going to slide up into that space. So something to just play around with, something to experiment with. Neither one of these charts is going to count toward your project. Like, this is too simple of a bar chart. There's no color, there's no nothing on it, but together it kind of works actually. So that's a way to make some simple charts into something that tells a story, is combining them together in a Cowplot, and it couldn't be any easier. It's super simple. Just add those two bars together like that. All right, good luck.